Welcome to day 3 of my 3-day vlog. Today I want to just show you some mid-travel checks. I'm staying in Swansea and each day I'm commuting to Porthcawl, which is about 45 minutes from here. So what you want to do is open your bonnet. Now I'm actually going to do a full check, what I would be doing this morning with you. So you want to be getting a fresh bit of tissue and hit your head. Take the dipstick out and always clean the oil off first, so it's completely clean like that, look. So you'll notice here, guys, you've got like a tapered part of the dipstick and then you've got a flat area. At the top of that flat area where it goes into the actual dipstick tube itself, that's the top, that's the minimum mark. It has got minrit on it. You've got exactly the same but the opposite side, and you've probably got about 1.25 inches, about an inch worth of distance there, and you've got maximum on that lug. You want it to be just touching that rim there ideally. The distance from here to here is 1 litre. If you're on minimum, put 1 litre in it and then that will top you up to your required amount of oil. I'm not teaching you to suck eggs, but I appreciate some people don't do this or they're unsure, so therefore they will benefit, you may not, but just bear with it. So you put it in like that, and then I'm not sure if you can see, if you turn it around in your hand, you'll see the prominent oil mark. So that means that this is ½ litre down. So bear in mind, ideally you should check your engine oil level when the engine's hot. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but it will change slightly. So that is about right for the engine to be cold. One thing that is crucial, one thing that is an absolute must, it needs to be on a flat surface. So now you need to make sure your dipstick is located back in. You can look at your brake fluid level. So yet again, min max, you don't need to take the cap off or anything. You've got 2 indicators on it there. Just give it a shake and you'll see the brake fluid level moving around. So therefore we've checked that, that's on max, that's fine. Power steering, you can do the same at the side, or you can take the cap off and look in. Give the airbox a wobble. Generally have a look around the bay again. No, looks like there's no oil stains, oil sprays anywhere. If you look at the coolant at the side, that's the max mark there, pointing up to this crease in the coolant bottle. Just below that line there's the max mark, and that should say min with an arrow, so that's min, that's max. You can see I always fill it up to this crease on the bottle. You can see it's fine. You can see it's fresh coolant as well, because I did it before we came. And then yeah, just having a look around. Give your battery terminals a quick shake, they don't move. Battery's still fixed in position, and that is basically your pre-flight checks, if you like, your pre-startup checks in the morning. Like I said, you can start up first if you want, and then check the oil when it's a bit warmer. Until you know you've got oil in it still. What about if it's all leaked out in the night and you started up to try and warm it up and you're actually running it dry? Very, very rare chance that's going to happen. Very unlikely. However, this is just how I do it, so you take what you think's best from it. Moving inside, got my steering lock that I painted, linked to that video below if you fancy a go at that yourself. Now the key with things like this, guys, is when you stow them away, have them somewhere they're not going to move, vibrate, etc, etc. I'm going to make a little storage area here that will stand up in next to the handbrake in rubber pads, and then I can have like a rectangle area next to that for like a bin. So what I always do now is start it up. That light there, what just came up like a coil, that there, that's a glow plug light. So if it's cold enough to activate your glow plugs, always leave that on like that, leave the ignition on until the light goes off. That means now the glow plugs have activated and done a burn. What I do now is I'll allow it to run. I'll go around, I'll shut the bonnet, and then what I'll do is we'll move on to the checks inside. And what I do inside is I just generally have a look around. Not that anything's going to have changed, but one thing that's crucial, guys, and I see so many people's pop tops open up. Now before you do any travel, give your straps a wobble. Make sure they still feel like they're under tension. Make sure they haven't popped off. Make sure they haven't ripped or frayed during the night. I pulled up so you can't open the back doors. This side I pulled up so you can't open the side door or the sliding door. Just been proactive. I empty it out first, and then I kind of like make it a little bit more secure by doing that. Another check you can then go and do if you want to, not everybody does, you can open your fuel filler cap, check inside, check that the cap's still there, it's still clicked on, just to make sure. It was more of a thing back in the day, but just to make sure nobody's drained your fuel. I know they've got anti-siphon things on these days. So these do lock, but not unless you've checked that that locks on your central locking. How do you know it actually locks? Mine locks, but I'm just showing you, you know, potentially what you can look for. All I'm doing is I'm allowing the oil to circulate, to get all the way around, to get through all its channels, to lubricate all the camshafts, everything it needs to do, all the bearings, squirt through all of its jets, everywhere it needs to get, I'm allowing it to get. And also, I'm also raising the temperature of the engine. So when the engine is warm and it's expanded, that's the tolerances that your engine runs the best. When it's fully lubricated, when it's fully warm. If you could keep an engine warm forever, it would probably last like 5 times the amount of distance that what they generally do. Cold start and cold mornings are what create most of the wear during your engine. They're pretty much wearless when they're warm, expanded, and they've got good fresh current oiling. Run it up for 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to be slightly expanded and the oil's going to be slightly thinned out, allowing it to get through the channels to the bearings that a little bit easier. If you ever started your car up in the morning, got in it like straight away rushing to work, got in it from cold, and it just feels sluggish up the road, and it's like still smoking, condensation, and it just, the gears are a bit notchy. But then you notice once you've been on the motorway for 15 minutes, you pull off the motorway, the gears are the nicest I've ever been, and the engine ticks over and purrs nicer than ever. So I've pulled it forward just to show you this. Each day, I mean, you can check your tyre pressures if you want. I don't. All I do though is I go round, I have a look at the bottom, because obviously they're only normally flat at the bottom. I just have a quick visual inspection of the sidewall to make sure I've not curved it or not took chunks out of it, or it doesn't look like it's got hot. If it's been getting warm and the tyre's low, you can get blue round here, so straight away that would be an indicator that you've got low pressure in here. Having a look, make sure the pop top's fitted all the way along, it's not risen, because if you've had it up for hours they can move, so you can find that the back is up a bit compared to how it should be. For me, I do a big one before I leave, I do a big one when I get back, and each day during, if I'm driving, I do a little one, which is what we're doing now. Like I said, pull up with it. You know, some people are getting value from this, some people are like, oh, you know, what's he going on about? So every time I pull off, petrol garages are the best. Every time I pull off after a journey, or if I've come off the motorway and I'm on the services, every time I pull off, then I look in my mirror and I look back, I move forward, and then I'll look back on the floor as I've drove off to make sure that there's no evidence of any leaks that have occurred. So obviously if you drive off, I don't know how dark this will be now, if you drive off and then you see an oil leak on the floor, created or developed a leak during your journey on the way down or up, then, and it's dripping, you'll see the drip marks on the floor, the coolant, the brake fluid. Bear in mind, it's not just oil. You know, you've got a few different fluids in your vehicle that could potentially be leaking. Just do your checks, just a little bit of reinsurance, that you're going to give yourself the best stand for that journey. So we've just got here, Porth Court. What I'm going to do is, for your reference, I'm going to show you now the engine is really warm. I'll show you the difference between the engine cold to the engine warm with the oil level. Floor is slightly tapered down towards yourself, towards the near side. If you remember, it was 1/2 litre I needed. Well, that now, I'm not sure where you can see it, it's just below the maximum, probably about 3 mil below. So that obviously, look around. So obviously, just get out the wind. I left on 1/2 litre needed, so halfway between minimum and maximum, and now it's warm because obviously that was cold. Now it's warm, I'm just below maximum, and I can guarantee if this was level, that would be bang on maximum. Please bear that in mind. When you do it cold, when you do it from cold start, you can have lost 1/2 litre, so don't fill it up then when it's cold. Could potentially overfill it, so just bear that in mind for these tips. I'm going to start the journey back now, probably stop off once or twice, grab a coffee, and then I'll outro the video. Okay, so I've just come out of services, just got myself a coffee. The wire for the sat nav being in the way though, that bugs me. I'm going to put a thing over here. I just thought I'd take this time to quickly do a little kind of like review on how I've got on, how I think the van has performed. So far so good. I mean, I'm halfway back now. The van has performed great, engine, transmission wise, it's been fine. I'm quite proud of the van I'm building, I've built so far. I feel I've done an okay job. I'm quite proud of that. I'm quite proud of the build. I'm going to move the PowerPoint over to here, as I've mentioned, because it just gets in the way and it bugs me. And the rest really, other than anchor points to make sure luggage can be like cargo netted down, so to speak, and bungeed over, other than putting a lot of those in, just because I hate rattles and stuff. That's it really. I mean, I've got a trim squeak up here, which I don't really think's too bad to say I've had all of this out and the extent of the work that I've gone to and gone through to get it to this point. I think I get asked quite a lot is, what's the best mod I've done, or what is the changes that I've made which I think I've benefited from the most, I enjoy the most, or I definitely recommend. And honestly guys, it's the seats. I couldn't have picked, for me, a better seat for the budget. Great, there's a bit of a vibration on the front, but I'm having the wheels powder coated soon, and I've got 4 new tyres, and the tracking will be done as soon as the wheels and tyres are back on. So I'm hoping that should rule that out. I have got a bit of play in a lower arm bush on the front. It was found on the MOT. But I've got a spare subframe that I'm currently powder coating, replacing all the bushes in. I'm putting brand new arms on, so I can then get that finished and then just swap the subframe on the van. Rather than change the one lower arm, I'm completely building a secondary subframe. Don't need to do that, but a mate had one. He gave me the subframe from a vehicle he scrapped. It's in good condition. If I'm going to buy an arm anyway to replace that bush, I might as well buy another one because they're equally as worn, realistically. So yeah, so I'm going to do that. New nuts, new bolts, you name it, powder coated. It's going to just be nice underneath. This hasn't got the engine covers underneath on. I don't know if it should have, and they've been smashed off. There's no signs of them before, so I don't know if being a van it just didn't have them. But I'm going to build like an engine cover for underneath, put a little bit of soundproofing on, and it'll just quieten the engine down a little bit. With this being the 1900, there is a bit of a louder engine. So I'm just going to quieten it down a little bit and then put the engine covers back on the top because I've currently took them off, and that should be, you know, I'm not trying to hide the engine noise, but it will help with aerodynamics and wind noise and everything. Underneath being open does give you drag, so I'm going to do that while the subframe's off and just make it like a lightweight aluminium. I'll make a lightweight aluminium panel for it that screws with tech screws, and it's removed, probably countersink them, I'm not sure. And it's easily removable, but I'll also put louvers in it opposite to the airflow so that it will draw air out of the engine bay, hot air out of the engine bay, and it work efficiently. But also, if for some reason I had an oil leak or something, it would drip out of those as well. I want to be able to see an oil leak and catch it early, because that's the key. Obviously when you're packing to go away, you need to be conscious of like a towing eye. If you got me on Instagram, you would have seen that I got caught out recently. I broke down, didn't have a towing eye, didn't even know where the towing eye was. I am going to probably do a video on that at some point. So yeah, thank you for watching guys. I know it's a weird few days. If you've got this far, hit that like button, even comment below just to let me know that you're still here this far in, because I really appreciate your support. I'm really looking to grow the channel now. Thank you for watching. Stay safe guys. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. What's love got to do? Got to do.